This is a short reading from Where Dead Men Meet. It comes near the beginning of the novel, and it's the moment when Luke's life, his world, changes for all of time. It takes place in a restaurant in Paris. Luke was refilling their glasses when Pascal, the maître d', appeared at his elbow and handed him a folded note. "A message for you, Monsieur Hamilton." "From whom?" "The gentleman over there." Pascal swiveled towards the bar and frowned. Well, he was there just a moment ago. The note was in English, handwritten in capitals. "Do not react. Do not show this note to your friends. 2 men in this room have been ordered to kill you. I am one of them. The other one is reading a book at the table near the door to the kitchen. Do not look at him. If you want to live, make an excuse and meet me outside. Guernica." "A billet doux from your boyfriend?" inquired Fernando. Luke almost passed the note straight over. It was so utterly preposterous. And yet some small splinter of doubt stayed his hand. "How did you guess?" "Come on, what is it?" "Nothing." "So why have you turned white?" Under the guise of reaching for his wineglass, Fernando lunged and snatched the note away. His look of amused triumph quickly faded. "Who is Guernica?" he asked. "The man I told you about, Fautrier, the one at the Spanish pavilion." "The spy?" "I don't know if he was a spy." "Not just a spy, a hired assassin too." "You believe him?" asked Luke. Fernando gave a dismissive snort. "Oh, for God's sake, don't be ridiculous. Can you think of one person who wants you dead?" "No." He remembered the drunken threat spat out for all to hear by Alice's husband in the officers' mess in Rizalpur. "Yes." "Rubbish. Someone's messing with you. Here, I'll prove it to you." Before Luke could react, Fernando was on his feet, heading for the back of the restaurant, leaving him little choice but to follow. The man, eating alone and reading a book, looked like an accountant, though not quite as threatening. His lank brown hair was parted at the side, and the moustache only served to point up his weak mouth. He looked mildly startled when Fernando deposited himself in the chair opposite. "Good evening, sir. My apologies for the intrusion. You do speak French, don't you?" "Yes," replied the man timidly, removing his spectacles. "And several other languages too, I imagine, given your line of work." "Excuse me?" "My friend here has a question for you. He's curious to know why you'd want to kill him. He can't think of one single reason why." The man glanced up at Luke. "I don't understand." "Oh, I think you do." Fernando placed his elbows on the table and leaned closer. "You see, my good fellow, the cat is well and truly out of the bag. We know everything." Fernando's persistence was verging on cruelty, and Luke was about to speak when the man struck like a snake, a flashing fist that caught Fernando hard on the jaw, snapping his head round. Had he been more of a fighter by instinct, Luke would have exacted a swift revenge while the man was still seated, at a disadvantage. Instead, he found himself reaching to catch Fernando as his friend slumped from the chair towards the floor. Time seemed suddenly to slow, then shatter, reduced to a series of snatched impressions. The man rising to his feet, reaching inside his jacket, a glimpse of a leather shoulder holster, the silver finish of the gun being brought to bear on him, the cold intent in the man's eyes. The end. Really? Like this? Why? There was a deafening report, and a spray of red mist erupted from the side of the man's head. He swayed for a moment, as though drunk, then his legs went out from under him, and he crashed to the floor, toppling the table as he fell.